So I'm going to start first here by sharing my screen. طيب, بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Basically, this is going to be one of the most important sessions because mainly it's going to be focused on the grading, the grade center, and how do we report results and how do we announce the results to the students. Okay, so I'm going to utilize as a model, again, I'm going to utilize my parasitology course here. Basically, there is two benefits from the grading center. As I mentioned, is to grade the exams and to release the scores, as well as one important, very important function actually for monitoring exams as well. If you want to monitor your students as they are doing or conducting the exam, the grading center is going to be the place where we monitor our students for technical support. If the student did not start doing the exam, you can catch it from the grading center and you can take an action from the grading center. And I would advise that all programs, when it's time for exams, whether right now or even for final examination, once the exam starts or even before the exam starts, that the instructor and the technical support or the IT, the supporting team, some people should be logged in and opening the grading center and monitoring the grading center as the students conducting their exam, again, just to make sure and to identify problems at the beginning. So I'm going to click here on my parasitology course. The grading center is going to be under the course, actually not a course tool, it's going to be actually a different, a separate icon, which called grade center. So from here, you have four different options. Needs grading basically is for assignment or exams that need to be graded manually. Okay, so when you basically once you create an assignment for your student or a quiz or an exam in Blackboard, it's going to create a column for that, and I'm going to show you those columns. So it's going to create a column in Blackboard in the grading center once you create the exam. As I mentioned in the previous two sessions, in the MCQ and the short answer sessions, that if you want to hide the results from the student for that specific exam, you can hide it from the grading center again. Once you create the exam, you can go to the grading center, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You can hide it from the student view. Okay, so but needs grading, it means that there is an assignment was submitted, or there is an exam that was done, and the exam cannot be corrected automatically by the Blackboard. Like if you create an MCQ exam and you put the score and everything, the Blackboard can actually correct it for you, and it's not going to show in the needs grading icon. But if you create, for example, short answer exam, such exams need to be corrected manually, as I mentioned in the previous session. In this case, you need to go to the needs grading, and you're going to find those exams and those assignments in the need grading icon. Here for my course now, I have 0 total items to be graded because I have finished and submitted all of my grades for the continuous assessment for the parasitology course. But before, when I have students submitting their assignments, as I mentioned, or like if I created an exam that should be corrected manually, it's going to appear, and the student submit an attempt, the student attempt is going to appear in that screen. So here you go, and from here you can either go to every single student who submitted that attempt and start correcting every single student separately, or you can go to a specific student or a specific attempt, or you can just go here from the top and say click on grade all. So it's going to show all the assignments or even exams, and once you correct or grade one of them, it's going to take you. So I'm going to have to mute here so that we don't have the disturbance in the sound. I'm gonna do mute all. If you have anything, I think you can unmute yourself. So again, if you want to correct the grades, either you can select a specific student or you can say grade all. Okay, but I'm not going to spend time here on needs grading. It's very easy to do. Okay, and I don't have items to show you here because students need to submit whether an exam or an assignment for it to appear here. So I don't have an example to show you how do you correct an assignment. Maybe I can send you a video for how to do that after this session. But what we're going to focus on is the grading center for today. So for the grading center, you have here 3 different options. Either full grade center, and what it means here, full grade center is going to show you the assignments as well as the tests that was submitted for this exam. Okay, so it's going to show you everything, including you create like I'm going to show you how to create calculated columns and average or total and so on. All of this is going to be shown in the full grading center. Okay, and from here you're going to create and release your final reports. But just give me a second. Yes, but if you want to go to assignments, you can find the assignments separately, and you can go to tests and view tests only. Okay, so let's start, for example, with assignments. I'm not going to spend too much time on assignments because I believe most people or all programs were supposed to submit all continuous assessment grades by now. But anyhow, I'm going to show you what's applicable to assignments. It's almost also applicable to tests, and it's going to be the same information also again for the full grading center. So here, just for the privacy of the students, I removed the student's identification from this table, okay, from this view for the student privacy. So we only have the grades here, but without the student identification. The way to do that is basically from manage, okay, and then from column organization. Here I can click what do I want to show and what do I want to hide. Okay, so for example here the student's first name and the student ID and the last name, I hide it in order to just for the purpose of this session, for the privacy of the students. And by the way, you have here this line which says that everything above this bar is frozen column. Basically, if I took the student first name, okay, and I put it here in the frozen column, and I click also, I can select this one and click show. If I click show and then click submit, so it's going to show me the first name for the students. Okay, but for now I want to keep it hidden. But the idea from frozen cells, before the frozen cells, I just want to show you what I did. For example, for this, it show you the table for the things that I'm showing and the things that I'm hiding. So the things that are not shown, it says here hidden, and you can see also the text. The color of the text here is a little bit transparent. Okay, whether and for the other more darkened text color here, and all of those that does not have hidden between brackets written, it means that I'm showing all of those now in the test and in the assignments and in the grading center as well. Okay, if I hide it from here, if I select anything and I hide it from here, I say hide the selected column, it's not going to appear in the table and the grading center. Okay, and the other thing also from the column from the organization or from column organization, another benefit is that you can arrange your column from here. You can, for example, like here I have lecture 1 assignment, lecture 2, lecture 3, and so on. So it's arranged. Then I took the average of the assignments. I have MCQs exams. Then I took the average of MCQ exams, and here I have my final grades reporting. Okay. The last benefit that I want to mention for this column organization is also when you release the final report. For example, when I want to release the final report, I can create 2 reports, and this is what I did for the parasitology course. For example, I created a detailed report in which I released all of those information. So I kept all of them present. I did okay? And I released the reports with everything in it. And then I created another summary report that just include, for example, the assignment average, quizzes average, and then I had like one final continuous assessment test, oral presentation, okay, and the total continuous grade, and the percentage was, so if I want to release a summary, this is another benefit here from hiding some of the information in here. Like I don't want to show the result for every single assignment and for every single quiz. I can hide it from the column organization, okay? Again, you just basically click, choose the ones that you want to hide or show, and here you can hide or show columns. Be careful also not to delete any information in here. And actually, this is very critical for all grading. Clearing attempts, like when you do grading, again, when you go to the needs grading, if you clear an attempt, you might lose that data, and you cannot, and you're going to lose the grades for that exam. So be careful about such icons or such options. Here, also deleting columns or deleting some of those columns again, or these results you might lose your data for these assignments or quizzes or exams. Okay, so I just click cancel. I did not submit anything. I kept again the student information hidden. So here I'm on the page of the assignments, and I have created, like, I've done 6 assignments for the parasitology course. If I want to show all the students together instead of like scrolling up and down, I can here edit the rows displayed. So it's set by default at 10. For the clinical lab, we have 24 male and female students. So if I choose 24 rows, so it's going to show me all the students at the same time, which is easier. The other thing that I want to mention here, for either assignment or for tests, you can enter the results for that test also manually. Okay, for example, I have a student here that he did not submit these assignments. He got a 0 because he submitted like plagiarized or assignments which were rejected. But here he didn't submit even those assignments. So I can manually click in here and enter the results for this assignment that he did not submit, for example, 0. Okay, and it's going to show this small red or orange triangle at the corner, which means that this is, like it says, basically what it means, it's an override. Okay, override, it means that this grade was entered manually. Like, for example, if one of the I've changed my mind about one of the assignment of the students, I corrected it again, and I thought that the student, he deserved more or less grades. I can change it manually from here, okay, by just clicking on that cell. And once I change it, it's going to give you this little mark here, this little triangle, telling you that this cell was filled manually. It was not corrected in the, like when you go to the need grading and you do the grading from there, it's not going to show this triangle. Okay, but if I go here to the grading center and put the results manually, it's going to show this small triangle, just telling you that this was entered manually. The other thing I want to mention here is that from here you have this small arrows. It gives you an options in which you can basically, this is actually one of the nice things about Blackboard, whether for assignments or for tests. You can send a reminder. Like, for example, if like this one, if I click on it and I send a reminder, it's gonna say, you can see that, basically it's gonna say, are you sure that you want to send a reminder email to one student who did not have a grade or submission? So that student that did not submit this assignment, once I click send reminder, it's going to send him a reminder about this one missing assignment. And the same thing for the quizzes. When I show you the test or the quizzes page or the examination page, it's the same thing. Like if a student, he did not submit a certain test, you can send him a reminder by clicking clicking on this small arrow and say send a reminder. This is going to be very useful for us during the final exams because, again, as I mentioned, if I go to the tests, once you create a test and the students, they start answering the test, you're going to have a small circle, small blue circle, showing you that this test is in progress, okay? That this student and this student, that the students who are right now doing their exam, it's going to show you this little blue mark that right now the student has started doing his examination. This is when I said that one of the benefits about Blackboard is monitoring the students for technical support. So if you saw like 1 or 2 or 3 students among these students don't have this blue circle showing you that the student is in progress, you can send him a reminder, okay, that you did not start answering or you did not enter the exam yet. The other thing you can do also, you can send him an email directly. So you can choose any of those students in here, okay, and you can select as many students as you want, or you can select all of them if you want, okay, and send an email directly to all of those selected users, all of those selected students, okay. So again, this is going to be very beneficial for us, the reminder and sending an email. So if you if you just click send a reminder, it's going to send the student an email, and an email is going to be sent to the instructor who sent the reminder as well. So an email is going to be sent to the student and to yourself by sending this reminder. So you can keep it as an evidence that I submitted a reminder for that student. Also, when you send an email from here, if I click a certain student and I said, like if I wrote something for that student, and then I said include a list of recipient, then also the email that I sent to my student is going to be sent to myself as well. Again, if you want to like remind the student about a missing assignment, or you want to remind him that your exam has started but you didn't log in, and so on, okay? So you have 2 options here for contacting the students: by sending a reminder, as I mentioned from here. If I choose any of those, okay, it's going to give you this option, send a reminder, or by sending an email, and you can write what you want exactly in that email, okay. So this is about, basically, this is all the information that you need to know regarding monitoring the progress of the student and student support during the exams or for assignments as well. As I mentioned, you can see the student's progress in here, in any of those columns. As the student, he's conducting one of those tests, whatever the test that he's conducting, is going to show a blue mark, okay, that the student is conducting that test. If the student did not start doing the test, you can send him a reminder or can send him an email. One last information related to this thing as well is that you can also, I believe you can filter. Yes, so you can filter if you have, like, for example, 50 or 70 or students, and you don't want to look for students who, like, among all of those blue marks showing that these students are right now conducting the exam, except for 1 or 2 or 3 missing. So if you want to search within this 70 students of yours, you can filter the results. So here, if I click on the filter, you can filter the results by status, category, and current view. So basically, the status here is the most important. So you can filter the results by completed. So it's going to show you only the students who completed their exam, and once the student he submitted the exam and the exam is automatically graded, the grade is going to show here right away. So if I click completed during the exam, it's going to show me only the students who have grades, okay, only the students who have submitted and finalized their exams and they have a grade. For example, in progress, if I click on progress, it's going to show me all the students who are right now conducting the exam. Need grading, this is, we talked about it for students who submitted an assignment that is not automatically graded, okay. You can also view those students from this filter by clicking needs grading, or you can just, or you can go to this icon as well here, that, as you mentioned, and click on needs grading. What's very important, very important during the final exam is that you can filter the not attempt. So this are the students who did not even enter the exam, okay? That's again especially very critical during final examination. We're getting into the final exams, or even you can use it for assignments if the students did not submit his assignment. If I click by this one, it's gonna show only that one student. So if I scroll to assignments, I have one student here who did not submit an assignment. So if I click not attempted, it's going to show me that one assignment that was not submitted by that student. Okay, same thing for the tests. As I mentioned, this is very important during the final exam. If you have so many students, if you want to filter through the results quickly, you don't want to search for those students who did not enter the exam yet in order to send them the reminder and the email or anything to remind the student. You just can click on not attempted, okay? And it's going to show you only the students who did not attempt, who did not enter that exam yet. So for example, when I click not attempt here, this was for my students, for my course, parasitology course, this was a makeup examination, okay? So this makeup examination was done only for 2 students, or makeup quiz was done only for 2 students, and the remaining students, they did not attempt the test, of course, because the makeup was being conducted only for 2 students, okay? But again, if I create a final exam from those students, I can quickly click on not attempted to know which students have not started doing their final exam yet. Okay, I'm repeating this because this information is going to be very important during the final exam for the student support and for monitoring the students during the final examination. So by this, I'm going to stop talking about monitoring students, and now we're going to start talking about how do you grade the students. Okay, so as I mentioned, if you create short answer exam, you can go to need grading, okay, and it's going to show this exam that need to be graded, okay, for short answer. But if you created an automatically graded exam, such as the MCQ examination, the results is going to be shown right away without you having to do the grading. It's not going to show in the need grading, okay? If this is, so now the full grading center, okay, it's showing all the students with, I'm showing all the columns here, okay, for assignment 1, assignment 2, assignment 3, through 5, through 6, okay? And then what I did here, I created an icon, a column, sorry, for an average assignment. Okay, so I took all the average of these 6 assignments, and it's showing now here in this averaged assignments, okay? And the mark is for the average assignments out of 20. The quizzes, the same thing. I have 5 quizzes, and then I created one average column that takes the average of those 5 quizzes. Okay, I'm going to show you how to create these calculated columns. Okay. For the makeup examination, I entered these results manually here for those 2 students. So you can see the small orange triangle for those because it was entered manually from these results. But I have the results and I have the attempt. So I know the student answers, and I can view the answers at any time, and I can keep it for record how the students perform in these 2 makeup examination, makeup quiz. Okay, but here I just took the results and entered it manually because here it was not attempted, so I just entered it manually, and this is why it's showing this small triangle. Here, these are the last columns, which is basically this was one exam, well, one final exam out of 20%. This was oral presentation that was entered manually. But here the difference is that, as you can see, you cannot, the small triangle is not present here. Because the way that I did this is when I created the column, I went to the need grading, okay, and I graded the students from there, okay. And actually, because one more information, this actually whole column was created manually. Because as I mentioned earlier, when you conduct an exam, when you create a quiz, or when you create an assignment, you don't have to go to the grading center and create a column for it. The Blackboard, it creates the column for you, okay? But basically oral presentation, because the whole thing was manual, okay, manually done, and I asked the students to submit their assignment here, their oral presentation here in groups. I created male and female students groups, and each group, they submitted their oral presentation in their designated groups, okay? So I did not submit it as an assignment, and therefore I did not create it as an assignment, so I had to create a column for it manually. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Basically, creating a column is you click here on this icon, create a column, and you name it, okay? So if I name it, for example, oral presentation, I'm just going to add so this is the name of the column. I call it oral presentation 2. Here you can write a description, what's this assessment, or about this assessment, but it's an optional. Again, the things that are required are the things that have this astronaut mark. It says indicate a required field. So you have here a primary display. You can have two different displays, okay? You can have a score, okay? You can show the results as letters, as text, as percentage, or as complete and incomplete. The thing that we're going to use the most is either a score, or if you want to release the result for that assessment as a percentage, okay? So it's up to you, either percentage or as a score. So if I keep it as a score, I'm going to say the score is going to be out of 20. For the secondary display, actually you can, for the same column, you can report the results by score and by percentage at the same time. So it makes it easier for you here if you are calculating, like for example, for my final assessment, out of 80% for the continuous assessment, I created one column and I made it as a score, and I created another column and I called it percentage. But actually you can do both in one. Okay, you can create a score and percentage within the same column. I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, you can add your rubric of assessment in here. Okay, these are all optional. This is the important part. You're going to say include this column in the grade center calculation. You should say yes if you want to include this column, the results for this column, in your calculation, and when you release the final report for the course. It also says show test column to students, and from here you have the option to show or to hide. You're gonna show you can have the options of either showing or hiding this column to students, and this is again very important, basically because if you want to create a column and not make it visible to the students, you should click here on no. Okay. This one I don't use. Show statistics, average, median to this column to students. If you want to calculate average, median, and average, you can click yes, and it's going to do this kind of statistical analysis for you. Okay. But I usually keep it on no. So if I click submit, now the column that I created is present here. Okay. So as you can see, it's an oral presentation. I call it oral presentation 2. Okay. And of course it does not have grade because I created it manually. If this column was created of an assignment or of a quiz mainly, and the quiz is automatically scored by Blackboard. And I've shown you how do you give the scores, how to change the scores for the question. I've shown you all how to do this, and when we talked about the MCQ examination, okay, about how to put the different scores for the different MCQs. If you want to give the MCQs 1 score, 1 grade, or 2, or 0.5, and so on, you can do it when you create the test, okay? And then the Blackboard is gonna correct it for you and show the results for you here. But for this one, it's an oral presentation that I created manually. So even if I entered the results here manually, okay, it's not going to show that this result was entered manually, as in here. It's not going to show the small triangle because I entered the results manually. I created the column manually and entered the results manually. And as you can see here, now it's showing the grade. I said that the grade here, or the points possible maximum, is 20. So when I put 20, I enter it manually. It's going to show 20 out of 20. So that's going to give me 100%. So it's showing the percentage as well as the score, okay? So this is about how you create a column in the grading center manually, okay? If you want to create an average column, just what I did, okay? You go to create an average column. I'm going to call it, for example, average for assignment. Again, you can put it as percentage or as a score, and you can put a second display as well. If you want to keep the first display as a score and the second one as a percentage, you can do that again. Here, this is the important part, which is if I just say create an average column and I say I kept it as all grade columns, it's going to take the average of all columns that is present in the grading center. Okay, so it's going to average everything for me. If I said no, I want to select a column, okay, to take an average for. For example, I created this column as an average for the assignments. So I'm going to choose the assignments that I conducted for the students, okay? And just click on this small arrow here. So now I have 6 assignments placed in here. And from these 6 assignments, the Blackboard is gonna calculate the average for me, okay? One more thing is that here, this is also very, very important. Calculate as a running total. The point of doing this is basically if I keep, by default, it's kept at yes, and which is going to take only the average of the graded assignments, okay? So if the student, he did not submit 1 or 2 assignments of these 6 assignments, and I want to give him a 0 score, I gave him a 0 score for that assignment. If I did not enter the score manually into the columns, okay, it's not going to take into consideration that 0. Like if I left the column unattempted, okay, I did not put a 0, okay, in that column, and I show you what does it look like when the student does not attempt even to submit an assignment. It's going to be just basically a blank. It's not going to have a grade, not even a 0. You have to enter the 0 manually if you want to give the student 0 for unsubmitted assignment. So if I keep it as yes, it's only going to calculate the average of the graded columns. So for example, if 2 of those 6 assignments was not submitted by the student, keeping this option as yes is going to make the Blackboard calculate only the average of 4 assignments for that student who did not attempt submitting his assignment. If I say no, like if I don't want to go and manually give the student 0 mark for the unsubmitted assignment, I just want Blackboard to do it for me. Basically, I just click no. So when you click no, it's going to say selecting no includes all item in calculation while using a 0 value for an item if there is no grade. So if the student did not even submit or attempt to submit an assignment or even a quiz, he did not, like he have, as I shown you, I have, for example, 5 quizzes for this course. If the student, he did not attend and he did not take a makeup exam quiz for that missing quiz, if I select no, the Blackboard by itself, it's going to take the average of the all 5 quizzes, for example, including the quiz that was not done by the student. If I kept it as yes, and the student, he missed 1 or 2 quizzes, the Blackboard is only going to take the average of the 3 or the 4 quizzes that the student conducted or that he submitted. Okay. So this is very important to keep in mind. If you click no for any non-attempted exams, everything is gonna be included, even the non-attempted, giving the student 0 mark for the non-attempted. If you clicked it as yes, the non-attempted as exams or assignments, only the ones that has a score is going to be averaged. Again, here is the same options, which is basically you're going to include the column in the grading center if you want to show the column to students or not. Okay, now I don't want to show it to students, so I'm going to keep it hidden. Okay, and then I'm going to click submit. And now it's showing me the average for the quizzes, the 5 quizzes or the 6 quizzes, the 6 assignments the student submitted. Okay, so this is how you create a calculated average column. Another important column, which is the total column. So this is basically is going to sum the scores for you. So the difference here, if I call it total, and I already have one done before. Again, you can have it as a score, and you can have the second display as in percentage. Okay. Again, if I keep it as all grade columns, it's gonna sum all columns for me that is present in the grading center. If I want to select selected columns, you're gonna select from here. For example, for me, I just want to take the average of the assignments. I want to take the average of the quizzes, okay? And I want to take the final continuous assessment. You should click Control, and if you want to select them all at the same time, click Control and start selecting. So assignments, quizzes, final continuous assessment, okay, and the oral presentation. This is going to be total out of 80% or 80 grades. So if the student, he achieved the full mark in all of those assessments, he's supposed to get 80 out of 80, okay? Again, the same option here is present. If you keep it as by default as yes, it's only going to take the column for the graded assignments, and for the non-graded, it's not going to be included in the total. But the total doesn't make a difference, because if the student basically, it's going to take the sum. Okay, so if the student did not submit certain assignment or an exam, or there is no score for such a column, here it doesn't make it much difference actually for me. For if you say yes or no for the column, you can double check on this information, but I don't think that's going to affect the results. But you can click no just for basically. Actually, here I'm taking just the total of these. Okay. And these already have been averaged or calculated and so on, or entered manually. So there is nothing that was not entered here. Again, I think that there is a difference between the two. If the student, for example, did not conduct an oral presentation and he got, I did not even give him a score for that oral presentation, basically here it's going to take the total of these. Anyhow, and the options is the same options again. To include it in the column center, is to show it or to hide it for the students, and so on. So this is how you can do a total column with the score, and you can do with the percentage as well. And now it's going to appear here in the grade center again. So as you can see, these are the total, okay, by numbers and by percentages as well, for the columns that I selected or asked Blackboard to take the total for. Okay, so now we talked about how you create a column manually, how to create a calculated column, okay, for the average and for the total. For the weighted column, this is something you can do. I didn't use for my course, but it's something you can do if you, for example, if you have 4 different assessments, like similar to what I have for the parasitology course. and you gave those different assessments different grades. Okay, one, like for me, all of my assessments, I made the grades out of 20 to make it easier for me. So when I sum them all, the final result is going to be out of 80. But if you didn't do that, like if you said like the oral presentation, the score was out of 30, and the quizzes was out of 25, and the assignments was out of 25, and so on. Here you can create a column with test, again as a score or as a percentage or as both. And what you do here is basically I can say how many does this assessment weigh. Okay, for example, if I said like oral presentation and I add it here, I'm going to say, and here basically this is the mainly your configuration. This is your assessment configuration. So regardless how much you score the oral presentation from 30, from 40, from 50, from 10, okay, regardless how much you scored the oral presentation from, this oral presentation, it's going to weigh 20% out of my out of the 100%, or like if I want to make it out of 80, okay, actually it's not going to be out of 80, it's going to be 25%, okay, because it's going to calculate the total, the weight of the things that I'm going to choose. For example, for the continuous assessment, the sum of all of them, the percentages should add up to 100% as written here, okay? So if I have, like, for example, also this final continuous assessment, my quizzes average, my assignment average, okay? And I want to calculate out of the 100% for the continuous assessment, okay? I can say here that this is going to be 25, 25, 25. Okay. Or if I, for example, conducted the final exam for the student, and the final exam also is out of 20, after I conduct the final examination, I can create a column that has these four in addition to the final examination. And again, from here, I can set my configuration to 20%. So 20% for all of them, including my final examination that I'm going to conduct. That from, for example, for the parasitology, the student's going to have 20% for the final exam. So I can add the fifth assessment here for the final exam and give the weight for that assessment out of 20%. Okay, so this is basically for the configuration. If you want to create a column, okay, that it does the configuration for you, okay, and you can do the grades distribution. But this is, for me, it's optional. I did it manually. Like I took the average of the quizzes, I took the average of the assignments, as I've shown you, and then my oral presentation was out of 20, and my final continuous assessment was out of 20, and the final examination for the parasitology is going to be out of 20 as well. So my continuous assessment is going to be out of 80. So I've shown you how to take how I did the average, and then how did I do the total to make the grade for the continuous assessment out of 80. Okay. So that's covered. I covered now for the calculated, the average, the total, and the weighted. Okay. By the way, also from here, from these small arrows, you can, if you did like, for example, short answer examination, and you want to correct that short answer examination by clicking this small arrow for that specific test, you can say here also grade attempts. If I click on grade attempts, it's going to open this window for me, okay, and it's going to show the students all of them. Like if I correct the answers and the grades for the students, and then I go to the next student, I don't want to scroll down because you're going to see the assessment material and the results for the student or the answers. So basically, but here where you can basically correct the exam for each one of those students, okay? This is especially important if you, even for MCQs, if you want to just confirm that nothing is wrong with the exam, you can also double check and correct, and you can change grade manually. Like if you have a problem with one of the questions, here where you go for the attempts, okay, you go to the attempts and correct that question with the problem. You can correct it manually from this page, okay, and then when you click save and next, it goes to the next student. And when you make changes for the next student, you save and you click next again, it's gonna go to the next student, and so on. So this is another important information, is from here is you can grade the attempts for the students. Okay, important information: don't edit the test, okay, or the exam. Don't edit the exam after you create it, after the students start answering the exam. Okay, if there is a problem, if you discover that there's a problem with your test, because this might create you might delete the attempts for the students. It's going to create a huge issue for you when you do the calculation. So this is a very important warning, is after you create an exam, now we're getting into the final exams again. Once you create that exam, wait until all the students have finished from conducting that exam. If you discover the problem before the students start the examination, you can go and edit and fix the problem. But once the students start doing the examination, once they are in progress, don't edit anything about the test, don't edit the exam, okay? Do all the corrections that you want to do after the examination. For here, I can also, there's multiple options. This is one of the important options, basically item analysis. We all know about psychometric analysis and about the difficulty and deleting questions. If you want to apply this also to the final exams for the students, okay, if you have if you want to see if there is a problem, and actually also to discover the problems, the questions with problems, this is where you discover the problem from item analysis. For example, if you enter one of the options, the key was, there was a problem with the key, okay, the key was supposed to be option A or distractor A, and you put it by mistake distractor B, and all students, they chose A. How you're going to find out is from item analysis. I'm just going to show you an example here. If I click item analysis for that quiz 5, okay, it's going to create the report for you. So there was a report I created in April 6th. This is now another report I created today. If I open the report here, the problem, I cannot scroll down again because it's going to show you the questions for the exam. But here you can see basically how many points was possible for that exam, how many points and how many questions, if the student is in progress, he's still doing the exam, or if the attempt was completed or not. The average score for that quiz, as you can notice here, the students, they did very well on that quiz. They scored almost the average of the students was 19. Okay, the average time, the quiz, I gave them like 15 minutes for 10 questions. Actually, most students, they finished their exam in less than 10 minutes. Okay, so the average time is almost 10. Here it gives you the discrimination, good questions, fair questions, cannot calculate, basically if the question is too easy, or sometimes it can give you this error, cannot calculate, or if you don't have enough number of students in your group. The more students you have, the better the statistical analysis is going to be. Okay, and the difficulty here, since the students, they did very well, the Blackboard is showing that this test was very easy, in which all the 10 questions were easy questions. Okay, again, so from here, and if I scroll down, it's going to show you the statistical analysis for every single question. So from here, you can also know if like a single question has a problem. Okay, there is a statistical issue with that question. You can check what's the problem with that question. Is the problem is the question written in a wrong way? There is a problem with the answer key, and so on. And from here, after you do the statistical analysis and after you do the statistical analysis and you identify the problem, then you can go to the attempt again, and you can correct the problem manually, okay? If you want to delete that question, or if you want to give all students grade for that question and delete it and so on, it's going to be from grade attempts. Or if you just want to delete the question, and the Blackboard is going to do the recalculation, okay, on the remaining questions. So if I have 10 questions and I deleted one, Blackboard actually, if you update, there is an option where you click update or recalculate. It's going to calculate the examination out of 9 instead of out of 10 questions, okay? So the weight of each question is going to increase a little bit. One more thing here. So you can grade assignments, for example, with username hidden, okay? Or so here, if you want to, like, if the student submitted an assignment and you do want to see the name of the student in order not to have basically for the bias, this is an option here. An important thing is that you can download the results for that exam, okay? You can grade questions, okay? So this is another way for grading. You can grade either attempts or grade questions. If I click on grade questions, basically it's going to show the questions, which I don't want to show here. Basically, it's going to show the questions for the exam, okay? And then you can grade by question instead of grading by students or by attempts. Okay, so if you grade by questions, again, like for example, if you have 10 questions and you grade by questions, you can grade all the students on just question 1, okay, from that option. Again, from this option for grading questions, I can, for example, grade all students on a specific question. I just want to grade all students for question 3, for example. So I'm just going to click on that option and go to question 3 and grade all the attempts for all students just on that specific question. If you click on grade attempts, you're going to grade the whole exam for every single student separately, okay? You're going to click, as I mentioned, you can modify the results or the grades manually, and then you click on save and next. You're going to go to the next question and to the next student and so on. We talked about, so now creating, we talked about the options that we have here for grading. This is again, this is what I forgot to show you. Also, this is where you can hide or show the results for the students. Okay, so for example, if I want to hide, like here, I have hidden the average for the quizzes. So the students, they know how much they scored in every quiz, but the average and the total mark, I didn't release it yet until we get the approval of the academic affair and the program director that the results is looking good, and then I can show it to the students. So once I get the approval from academic affair or from program director that all grades are okay and there is no problem with the grades and it was signed and approved, from here I just can click on this icon and say yes, say hide it from student or show it on off. Like if I click on it right now on, if I click on it again, it's going to show all the total grades or the average and the total grades for the students, okay, just from this icon. So here you can hide or show columns to students. One more thing, also you can arrange your results the way you want. You can arrange it by grade, by student names, by and so on. And this is also from filter here. Basically, you can categorize the categorization per the assessment method, but also you can also order the results ascending or descending, okay, by numbers, or especially if I'm showing the student names here, I can arrange. I'm hiding the student names, but if I'm showing the student names or even the student ID numbers and so on, I can arrange the results by the student information or by the ID or by the name and so on. Okay. So basically, Now moving into an important part, which is, I believe this is the last part I'm going to cover, which is basically releasing the results in order to share it with the academic affair, with the program director. How do I release those results? Okay, basically, as I said, you can show and hide columns here. Like if I want to just show the average of the quizzes and the average of the assignments, the oral presentation, the final continuous assessment. Okay, if I just want to show these main grading without the detailed quizzes and assignments, as I told you, you can go and hide or from manage, as I've shown you, from column organization, you can hide the things that you don't want to display in the report. Okay, after you choose which columns you want to hide and which column you want it to be present in the report, basically you're going to go here from work offline, okay, and you're going to click on download. Okay, it's going to say full grading center, or you can also from here select the columns manually. Okay, so you can like just release the result for a selected column, one column, or for full grade center. Basically what I did for the parasitology, I did full grade center, but as I mentioned before, coming here, you hide, you select which icons are present or which columns are present or hidden from the full grading center, from the column management. Okay, after you select that or choose that, when you come here, you say full grading center is going to only show, it's going to only release the grades for the columns that you selected. Okay, this one I did not change anything about it, and this is basically to save the results to my computer. It's going to export the results for you as an Excel file. So if I click on download, so basically these are the results as shown in Excel file. Okay, very important thing here to do. So here you can again change the results, the presentation, however you want. You can delete this, for example, extra information that I don't want. I just want to like say assignments. Okay, assignment 1 or assignment 2. So you can call it whatever you want. You can arrange it the way you want. Okay. So basically here, but here because I said everything was selected, the lectures, quizzes, everything was present in the grading center, everything was exported for me here in the Excel file. If I remove these or if I hide these columns and kept only the average for the assignments and the average for the quizzes, okay, and the oral presentation and the final assessment, and my calculated columns, which is the total and the percentage, if I have only these present in the grading center and the rest information is hidden, it's not going to be exported here. Okay, so again, you choose what you want to display or what you want to include in the Excel file. One important information here for this Excel file, the format is a little bit weird. It's like it says Unicode text, okay, .txt. So in order to save it as an Excel file, you need to change the format for that file. You need to change it to an Excel worksheet. Otherwise, if you save it, if you just click it, do the changes that you want to do in here, and then click Save As, and did not change this Unicode text, it's going to save it as a text file, not as an Excel file. So this is another important information. You have to change the format to Excel type, okay? One last thing that I want to share with you, that actually the grading center even can create reports for you. Create reports even with signatures, but I don't think that we're going to use that. Basically because it creates the report for every student. Like I'm going to show you just an example for that. You can even include a signature line. Okay, a lot of information can be included in that report, but this is an option that is present. Okay, so and this is how it's going to look like. So the student name, his performance, I chose a signature line, so it added the signature line. So this is actually also one way of presenting the results, but this is going to show the results for every single student, okay, how he performed in the different assessments. This is something we can keep it for just for archiving, for our own information, or for archiving and saving the results for the students. You can have a full description with full information, dated and everything, and even the organization name. I believe you can include the organization name and everything in that report. And if you want to sign it, even you can sign it and save that file for the complete record or report for the students. Okay. So that's the final information that I want to mention regarding reporting. Sorry, it took us a little bit too long, but the session is full of information, from monitoring a student's examination to correction of exams, to creating columns, to managing how you view those columns, how to do statistical analysis. And we talked about how to export reports using the Blackboard grading center. And hopefully, inshallah, everything is clear to you. Do you have any questions?
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام يا هلا.
الله يعطيك العافية Dr. Rami على tutorial. It was very informative. I have one question regarding the research methodology course. As you know, we have group assignment. It's not individual assignment. And one student have to submit the assignment to the Blackboard on behalf of the group. Okay. So the issue, what I have here in the grading center, that not all students having attempt to submit.
Okay.
So and not only one student, usually that, for example, the team leader who will submit the assignment. So the first assignment may be submitted by one student. The second assignment may be sometime because of technical issue, another student submitted. So, and the groups are not allocated within, like they are not following each other. So it's entering the grade for those students in my course. It will be difficult.
Yeah, I saw your email, and I think you asked me about this in the previous session. Didn't we say that we can split it between different instructors or between different programs?
Yeah, even if you split it, but still the course coordinator have to go for each student individually and assign the grade for that student.
Unfortunately, for research methodology, for assignments actually in general, assignments, when it's written assignment, and it's you can create it, of course, and correct it in Blackboard, and Blackboard can check the plagiarism for you using Turnitin or all this safe assignments. But the problem is, as you mentioned, for scoring, the only way to enter it is manually. So I've shown you how to create columns manually. But if you have a problem, because due to the number of students, once you create, of course, you're gonna have to either way, you have to correct and grade the students' assignments, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the assignment is gonna, or the submission for the research methodology is going to be graded anyway. So even if you grade it like manually on the papers or themselves and so on, eventually also you're going to create a report like what we used to do, like even before utilizing Blackboard and before with the withhold of this school and everything. This is what we used to do, right? We used to so what did we used to do before?
So what we usually I wrote the grade in the configuration and sent it to the assessment unit.
But how did you grade the students? Like even in the configuration, when you wrote the results for the students, how did you used to do it in the past?
Manually.
Manually. But I mean, yeah. So and you have to enter it in the Blackboard, the same thing, manually. So one idea for you to do, or one suggestion, is that once you finish doing it manually, you can distribute the grades to the programs. Like, for example, clinical lab or respiratory, each program, they take the grade of their own students, and the admin of that program, she should be trained, for example, to enter the scores for the students manually. If it is too much, and we're dealing with, I believe, almost how many students? 400, right?
Around 400. Yeah.
400 students. So I believe the only solution is that it would be distributed either between different faculty members or between different admins, or it can just go to the program. Like, each program, they're going to be responsible for entering the results manually for their students.
So for the assignment, we already finished grading, and we finished the grading of all assignments for research methodology. But now for announcing the grade and entering those grades in Blackboard, that will be time consuming. Even I have a lot of course coordinators. They are helping me in terms of correcting those assignments and assign the grades for those groups. But in entering those grades into the Blackboard and searching by individual username or individual ID to enter that grade, because as I showed to you yesterday, there is not all students submitted. And the other problem is what I'm facing is, before we have one female course, one male course. Now, after we starting the situation in March, we combined both of them in one course.
Yes.
So now I have some of assignment have been submitted in a female, and like for assignment 1 and 2 have been submitted in the course of the female. After March, the female students submit their assignment in the combined course. See, that's the second issue that I'm facing, and even like I consult Dr. Taha regarding this issue to help me in solving this, and it's very difficult.
I'm going to contact you after this session, but one option that I can think about also, if you want to keep the courses as they are, like you don't want to create new courses, because creating new courses, this is one option, like that we create courses just for the purpose of entering and releasing results. For example, for all programs that we create, for example, courses by admin they created, for clinical lab alone, for RT alone, for all students, for each program separately to create courses. This is one option. Maybe, and the course can include both male and female. But then, and then the admins, they can help each admin of each program. If you give them
to enter the grades.
Yeah, they give them the hard copy, and they can enter the grades. Okay. One thing I can check for you, if you can do, is if you don't want to create new courses, maybe you can create groups. Okay.
Yeah, I check that option. It should be at the beginning before the students submit. So like there is a like a group submission.
Did you utilize the group function in Blackboard?
To be at the beginning of the semester or at the beginning of before the students submit their assignment. So they will submit it as a group. So I have group number rather than student ID. But the problem that I didn't create that before. That should be done before students submitting their assignment.
I think you can create.
I don't know how if you're going to create it now and then.
I can check this for you. I can check this option for you. If you can create groups now, and you can group them, for example, by programs instead of by. So if you just like if, for example, your task or like the coordinator for the course task, if it is possible, I can check this option for you to create the groups of programs. And then the admins, each admin, they go to their own group, to their own program. Like, for example,
even the number will be easy. Like instead of having 40 students, so we'll have like, for example, 8 groups.
For example, it's going to be groups by program. So for example, the RT group, the clinical lab group, and so on, within the same course. And I can see then, I believe this option is available.
Is available.
I mean, even the grade center. In the grade center, I believe you can also grade students by groups. Okay, if you create groups, you can grade them by groups. So if you create groups by programs, you can grade them by programs. So this is what I'm saying. If instead of creating now new courses and new material, but since the material already submitted in this course, right? I think this will be the better option. The alternative or the backup option I can suggest is, as I mentioned, is that to create courses just for the purpose of grading.
Is it okay to create a course without like
That one.
I don't know if that's possible to create a course just for that purpose.
Just to announce the results to the students, to enter it and announce it. Leave the main group as it is.
I will leave the main course as it. So create a
and everything is going to be saved and archived. This is one of the things that we need to do for all of our courses by the end. And actually, the admin, they do it, I think, every year. They archive everything about in Blackboard. But this year is going to be even more important to archive. I might send you a video like to everyone, to our members, about how do we archive and export. We need to save everything for this year, especially. Because there's going to be grades, there's going to be evidence, there's going to be assignments. So everything needs to be archived. But again, what was I talking about? Like you can leave the main group or the main course as in, for archiving, and you create groups or courses for programs just for releasing the results and giving the task to the admins.
Right. Okay, well, I think that's more suitable option.
You have two options now. I'm going to check the groups option. Let you know about this.
Okay, no problem. Okay, shukran.
عفوا. Any other questions? If we have no other questions, thank you all for attending the session for today. Again, today's session is recorded, and inshallah the recording is going also to be distributed. The recording for all three sessions actually is going to be distributed to all programs, so in order that you can view it at any time, and also for people who couldn't attend as well. والله يعطيكم العافية جميعا. Okay, you are welcome and have a good day. Bye.